I think the next speaker is Nicole McLachlan. She sat over in Tajay, one of the Cove warriors, and little Isabel Dow, who's a junior sea shepherd and Australia Zoo ambassador. They're going to speak on Nicole's In Our Hands project, and I'll help hold up the little sheet with Isabel, and then Isabel's going to say a few words at the end of it. So here's young Nicole. She appeared on the Sun Super Ads. You've seen her gorgeous face on TV, and I welcome her here today.
Okay, first of all guys, thank you so much for coming out today. It's an awesome turnout and it's just so amazing to see so many different people passionate about all different things, but all coming together at the same time in the same place. So it's really, really good. Now, basically I started out in the whole loving animals and that kind of thing when I was 5 years old. I saw the word marine biologist and that's all I wanted to do, all I wanted to be. All I dreamed of was swimming with sharks, turtles, dugongs, dolphins, everything. The underwater world to me when I was young was magical. It seemed out of this world. It just did not seem like it was anything like what we have on land. And diving, breathing underwater and seeing all this just seemed like an absolute dream. You can probably imagine my shock when I was 12 years old and found out what's really happening to the oceans and the future that it has. Since then, I've now become a marine conservationist. I'm doing my marine biology degree, but instead I'm heading a bit more toward conservation because that is really what we need to do. Now, I originally wanted to work up so when I was 50 years old, I'd own my own boat, go out and research whales and dolphins all day round. But that isn't really going to be the case anymore. That may not even be a future for me. So what I'm going to do, especially while I'm young, I'm going to go out there and get as many young kids involved and aware about the issues as possible. The most important thing, I think, is getting the younger generations educated and aware. Now, there's so many distractions these days. There's so many, media, entertainment, things like that. And it's just going to be a complete mess if kids don't know about what their futures are going to be held. Now, since I was 12, I learned that 90% of the big fish in the oceans are gone. I learned that 90% of baleen whales were wiped out, as well as 60% of small whales and dolphins. I learned that in only around 20 years' time, scientists predict that the Great Barrier Reef will be completely gone, completely destroyed. And at the moment, almost half of coral reefs of the world are already gone from our oceans. Now, someone who has inspired me since I was very young, Captain Paul Watson, he once said, "If the oceans die, we die." And that is probably one of the most important things that we can really know about. If basically we're all connected to the oceans, the rain that comes on our heads every day, more recently now in summer, but everything comes from the ocean. Everything we put into the ocean will come back onto land. So it's not something that we can just keep our minds away from. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in the next few decades if we don't do something about it. Now, I've worked for the last few years on the Great Barrier Reef on Lady Elliot Island. I do the tours there. I did the tours there for a few years, and the best part of my job was to take people out to see a marine environment that was actually pristine. Now, basically, Lady Elliot is a green zone. You can actually, under the Native Title Act, I heard from Colin Riddell, go in and hunt the sea turtles around the area. So it's not completely protected, but it's probably as good as you can get to a beautifully pristine environment. And that's the best part of my job, is to show people. Now, it's so important, especially for me, for kids to start learning, for kids to start speaking up. An example I'll tell you is, think about you're at a United Nations meeting. Person after person gets up and says their piece, and they're talking about all their different issues. As soon as a 10-year-old child comes up and takes the podium, everyone's going to shut the hell up and listen. All right, so kids have a voice, and it's just about telling them how to use it and basically the best way in which to use it. Now, what the In Our Hands project is, it's an initiative that I started when I had the idea at the International Whaling Commission last year in the UK, and basically what it is to get as many young kids as I can to put their handprint on a sheet of paper and a message about saving the oceans. They can be sending a message about their favourite animal or anything like that, but just as long as that message is out there, before they actually put that handprint there, I do give them education in some way, presentation, or whoever's doing it has to give them a bit of education first. This is what I went to Isabel's school with Captain Paul Watson, the Australian Director of Sea Shepherd as well. We all went there and did this with Isabel's friends. My aim is to get 100,000 kids to be a part of this program, and my eventual aim is to actually get to the 2012 United Nations Conference for Sustainable Development in June, and that's going to be in Brazil. So it's a very big ask. We've got a lot of people working on it at the moment, but especially if you guys are online, I'm sure most of you guys will be. Even Colin can figure it out, so everyone can. But if you guys are online, please come and find me. I can give you my details, and if you want to get involved, please do. I want to make as big as an impact as I can at the conference. Basically, the people in positions of power at the moment, the people in authority at the moment, they have our futures, the young kids' futures in our hands, and that's what it's all about. They basically are making decisions that isn't really going to affect them, but it is going to affect our futures. Now, my biggest fear is telling my grandkids, or having my grandkids ask of me, why wasn't more done to protect the ocean? Now, that's basically our reality, and it's what Isabel and I and all the younger generations out there are facing at the moment, whether they know it or not. Okay, so basically that's the project there, and if you guys do want to get involved, please do. There's heaps of information up on my blog. And yeah, once again, guys, thank you so much for coming out here and kind of giving it all you got, and the speakers as well today. So I'm going to hand you over to Isabel Dow, and she's an amazing little speaker, and she's going to say her piece. So just with keep in mind, especially just when you're doing what you do with the conservation world and things like that, always keep in mind who you're doing it for. You are doing it for the younger generations, basically so they can have a future. So, everything that's disappearing at the moment, all these species and things like that, all these kids, the closest they're going to get to them is the nearest IMAX theatre. So we want to have these animals on land as well as in the ocean for these kids to see in the future. So that's where my life is now, not swimming with everything, but close enough. So